everyone. I can hardly wait to tell you about this past week. I did a few painting experiments and they were great fun. But before we get into that, I'm Marlene Roy. I'm an abstract landscape painter. Each year I give myself a new challenge, and this year my challenge is to develop a visual narrative for the theme Hidden Worlds. Of course, hidden worlds in nature. I love landscapes, and that's my focus. So let's get to it. Here is my first experiment. Here we are. So in each of these three experiments, I played with the concept of counterpoint, and it's been really interesting. I realized as I was going through these experiments that this is what I had been trying to do all the way along, but somehow this gave me a framework of reference, something to really focus my efforts on. And here's the first painting. I actually took an older painting of gillyflowers in a ditch, as you can see here, and I reworked it. I added lots of layers, and I added depth using the darker colors. I played with the idea of depth. And then the concept, of course, of using complementary colors. With the darks, I worked my brush in an opposite direction. I worked it horizontally across the canvas because the predominant brush strokes, or the predominant stroke, was taking your eye vertically. I thought this way it would give this idea of these hidden worlds in, amongst, and behind the flower. I should add that this painting isn't quite finished yet. Of course, like all artists, I want to tweak it. So, but I think for the main, I think it's mainly there. The next painting was done down at my fire pit. It was a really sunny and hot day. It was wonderful, but I really couldn't take any good photos. I just don't know how to film when the sun is that intense. So if any of you have any ideas to give me, let me know. So I just took a few snapshots. One of the things I did, though, is I gathered a few natural items from around the fire pit to use in the painting to work with the paint. Anyways, the result is this. Once again, I tried to play with this idea of creating depth through layers, and then using the darker colors in this case, because everything was green, to create the idea that there are hidden worlds back in here. I am, for the most part, pretty happy with this painting, though I don't think that it shows well in this video. I'll put a photo of it framed at the end of the video. Maybe that will bring out some of the characteristics of the painting. My last experiment was probably the most radical and interesting for me, and I want to thank artist Helen Alice Johnson for giving me the idea, and that is to use a pattern or design to structure the painting, and it acts as the first layer. And in this case, I just very simply made some circles and pre-painted them with watercolor ink, and then I went out to my favorite painting spot, a lookout rock, and painted one of the views over top. Once again, I have to say, kind of enjoy this painting. There's just something about pink circles. I mean, who can resist those? They're just happy. And the painting isn't finished. It was just one of those days. It was just getting too hot. The sun was in the wrong direction, so I went back in. And those two paintings, I should add, were done with watercolors and watercolor ink, and that's a little more challenging to use some of the concepts of counterpoint, or at least I found it a little more challenging than when you paint with acrylics. Nevertheless, I have enjoyed very much doing these experiments, and I really think they did help me develop my thinking and intent around the idea of using counterpoint to build this visual narrative about hidden worlds. So what's next? I have no idea. I mean, obviously I'm going to continue working on my visual narrative on hidden worlds. We're in the city for a few days, so I may have time to be in my studio. And then we're back out to the lake. And of course, lake painting is dependent on so many things, mostly the weather, because I don't have a studio there. But it's all should be interesting and will all evolve, so please join me. I'll see you next week. Bye.